You're watching Inside Utah Politics.
Time now for a closer look at some of the big stories of the week with the Inside Utah Politics panel. This week we have Kathleen Anderson and Tim Chambliss. Great to have both of you with us. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the red as a former Ute. Of course, the tie and we have the red dress. That has nothing to do with Republican, right? It's about the
nothing
Utes.
to do
Okay.
from a red state.
All right, let's jump right into it. Operation Rio Grande, a huge milestone on Tuesday. 1 year since the operation was launched in Salt Lake City. Tim, let's start with you. Is it worth it? Is it paying off? Is it working?
The problem has been shifted. The problem hasn't been solved. Simply those who are homeless are moving to other areas in Salt Lake Valley.
Kathleen, let's bring you in. Are you seeing any positive signs from
I think
Operation
there have
Rio
been
Grande?
a lot of positive signs. I mean, all you have to do is just visit the area and you can see a visible difference. The city is cleaner. I think with an issue like this, when you tackle that kind of problem, I think you're always going to have a few growing pains, and I think they anticipated there'd be a little displacement of what would happen, and I think you have to see it through. It's a 3-part process, and I've heard really great feedback from everyone involved at the local level, the state level, and I think we can all agree something needed to be done.
Tim, let's bring you back in because, as you mentioned, a lot of people have complained about that. Let's take North Temple, for example, out by the Red Iguana. People started complaining there, saying they moved there, but Salt Lake City Police then react and open up a substation there. So are they at least making the effort to try to get out to this
Problem solution really does require a city, county, state effort, and we see that. But again, what we're doing is we're shifting the problem, we're not solving the problem. True, once the area is cleared, it'll open up the area south of the Gateway for economic development. But that doesn't solve the problem of homelessness or the growing problem of affordable housing.
I've met with some people who say they have been rehabilitated through Operation Rio Grande. Even if it's only a handful, does that make the effort worth it to you?
Any improvement makes it worth it, but it's more than just the homeless and the housing issues. We were having a lot of crime. I believe in the first less than a year, we had, almost 1,000 arrests. I know that a lot were moved quickly out of the jail and then some into the rehabilitation. But no, anyone that we can turn around and help better. And I like the message behind the whole movement to do this in a dignified way. I think it's worth it. It's expensive. What's it, a $67 million price tag? It's expensive. So
I'm not sure if it's exactly that, but it's definitely expensive.
Yeah.
It's right around there.
I've spoken to Salt Lake County Mayor Ben McAdams, who when he was living with homeless for almost 2 days, he said it was just an extremely difficult situation, and it was not going to be solved easily. But it has to be addressed.
One thing I want to get your take on, there was a lot of talk about civil rights, where people's civil rights going to be violated. I've been keeping a close eye on the ACLU of Utah, and while they have not endorsed this, they have not come out against it and, made cases against that either. Any thoughts there?
Well, it's a balance between safety, security, and order versus individual liberty and freedom. I was on the board of Utah ACLU for 10 years, so I understand that difficulty, that balance.
Okay, let's move on to another topic, that being tariffs. A lot of people in Utah are speaking out against those, and we have about another round going in about a week and a half from now. That'll be directed at China on motorcycles and other products. Kathleen, let's start with you. Do you like what you're seeing from the result of these tariffs?
Well, you've had me on before, and we've discussed things related to the Trump administration, and it's another issue he campaigned on. He felt that the trade deficit was unfair, that it was hurting our country, and indicated that the tariff situation needed to be addressed, which he is doing. And when he said back in the spring that he was going to begin these tariffs against China, he did was 25% up to $200 billion worth of trade, and now again coming. And we've seen President Xi kind of respond in like kind. And I do believe that Trump is a tough negotiator, and I think this is what he does to get leaders of other countries to come to the table and to address these problems. And I do think he comes in a bit strong, and that's what we're seeing. And I can't help but think it's just a starting point with him.
Tim, you kind of chuckled when she said strong.
Tariffs are a tax on imports. This was really, it complicates our economy, and it confuses business people. So what happens ultimately is, because these tariffs were not needed, what it does is cause an economic trade war with the second largest economy in the world, China, potentially also with our largest trading partner, Canada, potentially also with Japan. And as a result, it's going to cause confusion, uncertainty with our business partners, and it causes an economic slowdown. What it can ultimately do is move us towards an economic recession.
All right, Kathleen, let's bring you in again real quick. Would you like to see the president back off on this if it does continue to hurt America, or do you like the long-term strategy? Would you like to see him stick with it?
Well, I think there's more to it than just the economic side. If you talk to anyone that does national security with the country, we lose about $400 billion a year to China just in trade theft and hacking. And we're looking at that whole situation is more than just economic. It's security, it's national security. This is the largest populated country on earth. What they can do with the information that they hack and they steal militarily. I think that there's much more that goes into getting China in discussions with the United States than just the tariffs and the economic aspect. So I do support what the president has done, and we see temporary setbacks economically, but we've rebounded from the ones in the spring as well. I think it's like a baseball game.
Okay, we have
multiple
about
innings.
2 minutes left. Final thought on this one.
China is the second largest trading partner in the world. Very soon we'll pass us and we have the largest gross domestic product, wealthiest country in the world. This is a confrontation we do not need for world stability or for our own business communities.
Okay, we have about a minute and a half left, but I really want to hit on this one. Tuesday night, some pretty crucial elections, both special elections and primaries. Going into November, from a Republican standpoint, what do you make of this and how it could potentially project in a couple of months?
Well, based upon the Tuesday results, Trump's record up to that point was 8 of the 9 candidates he had endorsed in a special election have won. And so people will say, oh, but they're not winning by the margins that they should have or that they could have. A win's a win. And I don't see how you dispute that. And he seems to show up in these districts where it might be iffy, and his presence seems to be effective.
Tim, let's bring you in.
The outcome of Ohio's 12th congressional district is so close. In fact, the results are still not known at this time. The general election is only 3 months away. I think Republican leaders are very concerned about seeing the large number of districts in the country that either went for Hillary Clinton or went for Trump in the last election, that now very well will flip 23 to 25 to the Democrats.
30 seconds left. One thing's for sure is that Republicans are out fundraising Democrats.
Oh,
Does
yes.
that spell trouble in November for Democrats?
Well, money helps now. We'll see what happens in September and October.
The Republican Party is in an excellent position nationally. The RNC has about $60 million in cash on hand, and I can't remember what the last number I'd heard for the DNC was, but under 5 million.
What the Democrats have going for them is the current occupant in the White House.
All right, well, I'm going to have to end it on that.
That's what we have going for us.
All right, different perspectives, that's for sure. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with more Inside Utah Politics right after the break.